first thing I'm going to take you through is customizing Facebook. All right. Now, some of this stuff I'm going to have to just verbally tell you. All right, just due to some constraints that we have here, but I'll do my best to walk you through this step by step. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a PSD file that I have here, and this is a Facebook template. And if you want to get a hold of a Facebook template, even one that's more elaborate than this one, you can go on to the Smashing Magazine website. They have one that's like full of different things. This one's just very basic, but this is all you really need to make a Facebook fan page work, really. And so basically what I've got here are a set of individual areas that you're able to customize when you're inside of Facebook. So you've got your avatar, and you've got this area here inside of Facebook. And so what I'm going to do here in a minute, I'm going to walk you through creating a mock-up of this, and then we're going to talk about how to implement it live on the internet. The thing that you have to realize about Facebook is that if you're dealing with Facebook, you're rolling the dice on how long they're going to allow you to have the functionality they allow you to have today. When we first got to have Facebook landing pages, they were like, yep, here you go. You get 720 pixels of space. You can use our custom FBML applications to display your pages, and you can do all this other cool stuff too if you learn this FBML language. Early adopters like myself went in, we learned FBML, we learned how to build these little applications. We worked with 720 pixels, which is a pretty good, decent amount of space. And then the tech blogs started reporting that FBML was going away. And then they started reporting that Facebook would change its profile page design to go from 720 pixels of space to 520 pixels of space. If you were not paying attention to said tech blogs, you would not have known any of that was about to change. Now, most of the static FBML applications that were out there still do work today, thankfully. They haven't killed it off. But you're no longer able to create landing tabs on Facebook that way. You have to now utilize an iframe on Facebook in order to do that. And an iframe is nothing more than just a bit of HTML that embeds one web page onto another. So essentially what you do now on Facebook is you create this little mini web page that exists somewhere else. You have to host it. Okay, Facebook no longer hosts for you. You have to host it, or you have to use an app to work with it. Today I'm going to show you how to use an app because that's the easiest way to do it. That way you don't have to purchase a hosting plan or any of that garbage. Okay? Now, they also went from 720 pixels of space to 520 pixels of space. For those of you playing the home game, that's 200 pixels that they shaved off of my Facebook page. I had at the time several different images on my site, or on my Facebook page, that looked good at 720 pixels. They looked bad on 520 pixels because stuff was too small. Nobody could read it. And the bad thing about Facebook was they came up and they just went, there we go, we're just going to flip the switch. Sorry, dude, 520 pixels now. Oh, really? Well, thank you for the heads up. So the one thing you have to know is, and I'm not saying this because I know this for a fact, I'm saying this because this is the perception I get, and this is one of the reasons they need to humanize what they're doing. They don't care. You know, yeah, exactly. They don't have to care. They don't have to worry about you or anything else. They've got millions of people using their service. They're making money hand over fist. You know, they don't care. And so that's the unfortunate thing. And like I said, Facebook's a necessary evil, so we've got to deal with it. So what I've given you here inside of this little document is a 520 pixel square. And then this little guy right here, which I'm not sure exactly how big that is, but as long as you use a square avatar, you should be okay because Facebook dynamically resizes down in there. Okay, but you do get a 520 pixel square here. All right. Some examples of good Facebook pages for you to look at. Okay, Gary Vaynerchuk's Facebook page is very good. So you can go to facebook.com/Gary to see that. He's got a very good Facebook page with a lot of good different tabs and whatnot. A lot of big brands have great Facebook pages. Some of the ones that come to mind are Red Bull. Red Bull has an awesome Facebook page. They always have. Coca-Cola and Pepsi usually have good ones. whether you like her or you hate her, Britney Spears has an awesome Facebook page. I'm not a fan, sorry, Brit, but her Facebook page is fantastic. She has, previews of her latest singles there, ability to purchase and download directly from the Facebook page. It's pretty slick. So what I'm trying to drive at here is if you go and you look at all of these different people, you'll start to see some trends in Facebook design. And some of those trends you'll see I've implemented in my page design. Some of them I need to implement in my page design. Okay, so we'll talk about that as well. So let's go over here into my Facebook page, and I'm going to walk you through this because I can show you mine without too much of a worry here. And so when you're looking at my Facebook page, it's going to look a little bit different to you right now because I'm logged in as me and I'm running the page. So this stuff right here, this little stuff, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but ignore that for right now. When you come to my Facebook page and you're not a fan already, you will see this page just like this. What I've done here is put a big call to action at the top. And so when you're dealing with Facebook, the best thing to do is to give some sort of call to action. All right, because people need to know to click the like button. Because by clicking the like button, that increases your numbers. That also ensures that in their stream of information, your updates will be shown. Okay, so you need to make sure that they click that like button. That's the big thing on Facebook, is getting likes. Used to be it was getting fans, and then they changed it to likes. I personally preferred it when it was fans, because I could be like, yeah, I got 500 fans, what's up? And everybody's like, yeah, all right, I got fans, cool. And now it's like, wow, 976 people like me. Great. I know people like me. I mean, what's not to like? Right? But, do you find what I'm doing here useful? Are you a fan of what I'm doing? That's why I don't like the nomenclature, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so a big call to action. If you notice on some of those brand pages, Red Bull changed theirs, but they used to have this awesome thing where it was this big like cloud of arrows that pointed up to the like button. And then right underneath it was like, click the like button in like little tiny text. But like you followed this big thing of arrows and it just led right to the like button. So you couldn't help but just go, ah. And then when you did it, you were like, there's no cost to a like. And to a lot of people, to click the like button is no big deal because there's no penalty other than the fact that they have to see my updates. And so by clicking the like button, it's the easiest way, I think, to get people engaged with you on Facebook is through that like button. Calling them to action is a big part of that. Another thing, and this is the part that I say I need to work on my personal Facebook page, is providing something called fan-only content. You'll notice on a lot of these pages, like if you go to some TV show Facebook pages, they'll say, hey, if you want to watch the latest episode, even the unreleased version of whatever the show is, you click the like button and we'll show you an exclusive 30-second video clip from the latest episode of whatever. Here, I could offer up, and I used to do this, I used to say, click the like button to watch a free online class. And since I've had to revamp my page, since they took my space away and all that stuff, I haven't added it back in. But that's a big thing because people will be like, ooh, a free online class. Or you could say, like, if you sell a product or a service, click the like button to get 10% off your next purchase. Click the like button for free shipping. Click the like button for, an extra, toothbrush when you buy 2 toothbrushes or whatever it is. So use that type of stuff as a ploy to get people to click that button. All right? Now, other things that you want to add into your Facebook page. Obviously, you want it to be consistent with your branding. And so this one, I just put a big, big picture of my logo and my face. Okay? I've also got my bio. This is my little canned bio that I always write. And then right underneath that, because not only is this my business page, but this is also somewhat of a personal page because I've chosen to market myself as a personal brand. This right here tells about my personal journey for health and wellness that I've been on this year. And so that's just a little something extra that people can go and look at. For me, it gives it more of a personal touch because you can actually go and see something that I've struggled with over the last year, something that I've, presumably I've triumphed over. And it gives you a little bit of a sense of who I am. And so I added that in there for that very reason. Also at the bottom, you'll notice that I have links to Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube. All right? Always selling. Always selling. That's what we got to do. Always selling. And we'll talk about this a lot more on how to do stuff like this when we talk about social cross-pollination later today. But that's an example of it. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Just because this is Facebook doesn't mean the people that are looking at it aren't on YouTube and Google+ and Twitter. And if they don't know I'm on those places, this is a great opportunity for me to tell them. And you can do this in any program, okay? Any program. You can map it out on a piece of paper for that matter. Yes, ma'am.
I've got a question about how if you force people to like you before they get to see your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'm wondering, I mean, you say a like doesn't cost anything,
Mm-hmm.
but on the other hand, they are offering you something that is theirs and theirs alone, and to feel forced to give it to you before they really know what you do. Let's say they just heard about you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if there's another way to encourage them to like you other than that. Then the second one was, if they do use that, and if you do offer 10% off something,
Sure.
how do you track who got in via that method because you've got people that got in before?
Very good question. So the first one, do you have to use that method? You do not have to use the gatekeeper method, okay? And that's what I kind of call it, the gatekeeper method. You don't have to use that. It's a great ploy if you want to do that. If you don't want to do that, Red Bull, for instance, they're not selling Red Bull on the page. It's just an informational page about Red Bull. And so, their big directive to click like, and I think theirs was like click like to watch our free commercial or something, okay? And that's not necessarily to get a discount or anything else. As a matter of fact, they're actually teaching people to do something in order to watch an ad. I pay $7 a month for Netflix, so I don't have to watch ads. You know what I mean? But I went and clicked Red Bull's like button and I realize they are giving you something that is theirs, and it is a personal thing that they're actually tying their name to your brand, whether they know it or not. But at the same time, I think that the power of that little button is underestimated by the everyday user. Because it's nothing. I look all the time at things that come up in my Facebook stream of stuff that people have liked, and it's like stuff, like for instance, okay, if I'm out here in Seattle, I don't live here in Seattle, right? And let's say I go to a coffee shop or something here, and I find that they have really good stuff, and I go back to the hotel, and I mean, do I really like that place like enough to say like? Probably I don't. But like if my wife came out here, for instance, and she ate at a restaurant and they had good chicken or whatever, she wouldn't think twice about going back and being like, yeah, I like that place. Just because, it's in the moment and whatever. So let's say that they saw a picture that you have on the front. Let's say that you have a big picture of something that you've done right here, okay? And they look at that and they're like, yeah, I like that. I think it's more of an impulse thing than anything else. So, I get where you're coming from on that, but at the same time, I think we have to deal with the fact that not a lot of people put as much emphasis on it as we do. You know what I mean? And then I'm sorry, what's the second part of your question? Tracking the likes. Okay, so if you're going to do the gatekeeper method, my suggestion would be, especially if you're offering like a coupon or something like that, offer a coupon code if you can, or some sort of, or send an email to this email address to receive your coupon, and that way you can get, a trackable stat. Because if you just say, click to like, and then you get the coupon, and then it's just a generic coupon at the bottom that everybody gets, so just make it unique to that. And that's what we call social media campaigns, in a sense. That makes sense? Okay. All right. So we're back in Photoshop now. Here's the little template that I go by, and you can start off in Photoshop or any other application that you want just by creating a 520 pixel wide document, because that's the window that you're in. Why I do it like this is so that I can see it inside of a Facebook-esque environment. Because of the fact that, there is going to be my profile picture here. There is going to be a title here. There is going to be the white space around here. That big blue bar ain't going anywhere, right? So I need to know what my stuff's going to look like up against that. Now, in my case, I'm fairly happy with everything on my page except for one aspect of it. When you come to this page and you look here, do you see, other than right here, of course, do you see my name? You do not see my name. My logo exceeds the fold on this page. So what I would like to do, since seeing it on a different screen, this is another thing. We're going to talk about screen sizes a little bit later. you know, on the screen where I designed this on a 30-inch monitor at my house. I'm not below the fold on my monitor, but I'm below the fold here. Okay? So we'll talk about that a little bit later too. All right? So if I wanted to start off a new Facebook page, I would go in here and I would just do like 500 pixels by 520. Yeah, I get it, Facebook. I'm confused now. 520 pixels. Now here's the deal. How tall do you make it? All right, that's according to how much stuff you want to make people read or make people look at. I'm of the opinion that people hate to scroll. Okay? I'm of that opinion. Now, if they're on an iPad or an iPhone, they don't care because it's just fingers and whoopee. On a mouse, I mean, that's, you know, I don't know. Now, I do make people scroll on mine. Okay? It was a personal choice of mine, but I had a lot of information I wanted to put in there. In a lot of people's cases, they don't make them do that. So what I try to do is I try to keep this between 900 and 1,000 pixels tall. Okay? So 520 by 900 or 1,000. Just depends on how much stuff you got. All right? Whoops. Now, once you get in here, that's how big you have. All right? At full size, that's how big your page is going to be. Okay? I would suggest actually putting in about 10 pixels worth or so of padding on each side, just to make sure you're in the boundaries. Now, why do I say that? That's probably about 20 pixels on each side, but that's okay. Why do I say that? Well, if you remember correctly from the print days, when we were designing business cards, we had a bleed and we had a safe area and all that good stuff. This is your safe area. Because occasionally, especially if you're using an app like I use in here, those apps have almost like an invisible chrome to them that encroach a little bit on your design. At 520, this is not 520 pixels. I believe it's 500 exactly. Yes, it is, 500 exactly. So I actually left 10 pixels on each side because the app itself kind of encroaches a little bit. You can't see it, but it does. And so at 520, it looked like this fell off the page. That's very unprofessional. So I'm keeping this right here. I'm doing a 520 pixel wide document, but I'm shaving off 10 pixels on each side. Now, in order to do that in a program like Photoshop, what you're going to have to do is use your rulers, and if you really want to get technical with it, bring up your info panel, okay, window info, and then I'll just drag this guy out. See how it keeps track of where I am? See where it's at 20 pixels? So I go right here until it reads 10. Boom. So that's at 10, and then I'll go this way, and I know it needs to go until it reaches 510. Okay? And so now I've got 10 pixels of space on each side, making sure it's all good. I'm also going to give myself a little bit of a pad on top. So let's go down this time about 20 pixels. I think it needs a little bit more space at the top. That's just me. I like a little bit of extra white space on the top to differentiate between things. Because when you're actually looking at a Facebook page, it's going to butt up right against this stuff up at the top. All right, so creating a little bit more space there creates some differential, or creates, you know, just a little bit of separation between the two. All right? Okay. So I've got that. I don't have to worry about the bottom because Facebook will go infinitely. All right, as long as I want it to go. All right. Now, you want to add some sort of call to action at the top. Mine just says, it's very simple. Click on that like button up there. Thanks. All right? And so, you know, it's not official. I mean, that sounds very generic. That sounds very Kentuckian. Click on that like button up there, y'all. You know what I mean? And so, you know, using stuff like that, that kind of humanizes me a little bit. Now, I chose to do this as an image. You can see it's an image. I can't select it or anything like that. You can do this through text or whatever. The only reason why I chose to do it as an image is because I wanted to use this particular font and I didn't want to deal with web fonts. All right? But, so I map out my call to action. So in this case, I'll say, like, it would help if you could read it. So, please click like, or whatever you want to say, right? And so I'll move that right there in between those boundaries, and then I'm just going to kind of blow this up. All right? Now again, I would go through and be a little bit more precise with measurements and all that good stuff, but I'm just showing you an example of how to work with this thing, okay? Now, underneath there, what I like to put underneath the call to action is an identifying mark. So underneath the call to action, you put an identifying mark, whether that is a picture of you, your logo, a slogan of some sort inside of a banner ad, whatever it is, an identifying mark goes directly beneath the call to action. Because people are going to say, okay, I need to click like, okay, this is the right dude, right? Because when you go to my site, or when you go to this Facebook page, you're going to say, okay, click on the like, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, it is the guy I'm looking for. This goofy dude with the, one eyebrow up. And so, create something that people will recognize. Doesn't matter what it is, all right? It could be a logo, a tagline, doesn't matter. So in this case, let's do this. I think I'm going to quit being a zookeeper. Let's be something cool, all right? Let's be like a rock star. You want to be a rock star? All right, so rock star. All right. Let me shrink that up a little bit. Let's change the font. We want a rock star font, so I'm going to do League Gothic. It's one of my favorite rock star fonts. All right. So rock star, we'll center align that, and I'm just going to take this thing, I'm going to blow it up. Okay. All right. So there's my rock star thing. Let me give you a little tip about logos. All right. If you want to make even the most boring logo like this look like something, add a shape to it. You ever seen my logo? It's a square. Do you know what makes my logo unique? The little talk bubble extension at the bottom. All right. You know what that is? It's a triangle overlaid over the top of a rectangle. That's it. All right. Now, I tried it many different ways. Off to the left, off to the right. I finally decided on the center. I don't know why, but I did. I think it's because it almost looks like one of those little Google Maps pop-ups on the iPhone or something like that, right? But add a shape to it. So let's add a shape to this. Let's add a little bit of canvas size. I'll go ahead and unlock the background layer here. Add a little bit of canvas size to this. So, and it's going to be not square, but that's okay. Remember, Facebook allows for oblong, right? So that's okay. And this is going in the middle of my page, and this is oblong in the middle of my page, so I'm all good, okay? So let's add here, let's add about 300 of pixels to the height, and I'm going to anchor it to the top just to add a little bit of something extra. And then I'll come in here, and I'll grab myself a little polygon shape, shrink that down to 3 sides. You guys are getting all my secrets today. I feel bad. I have nothing left. All right, let's see. Let's undo that. Let's do, make sure it's black like the logo. All right. Now, take that, move that over, or you can move it to the left. Doesn't matter, right? I'm going to put it on the left. All right. Looks like a little talk bubble. Might even shrink it up a little bit. There we go, okay? Now, in the real world, I would do this, in Adobe Illustrator or some vector program so that this could be scaled infinitely or something like that. But in this case, I'm just going to merge these down together. Remember, flatten is Photoshop's F word, and we don't use the F word. But in this case, it's okay. All right, let me move this over here. That looks better over there. There we go. Okay. And so now there's my Rockstar logo, and I'm just going to merge that down together too. Ooh, boo, flatten. Trim it. Anytime you want to get rid of transparency inside of a Photoshop document, just go to Image, Trim, and hit Transparent Pixels, and it'll automatically shrink it down all the way across, okay? All right, now, I'm going to take this, and I'll copy it. I'll paste it in here, all right? Now, that might be a little small, and that's where the vector object comes in handy. I should have done this as a vector object. So, matter of fact, let's step back here. Since I did do it too small, let's go back here, and I'll just make sure these are, let me do a shape instead of that big thing. There we go. All right, so that combined that into one shape. Now I can just take this and move it over. Wunderbar. There we go. There we go. And now I'll blow this up. Okay. Now you don't have to do something like this, okay? One of the best things I've ever seen that people do here would be like an identifying mark on the left. So like shrinking this down a little bit. putting it flush against this, just like that. And then over here on the right, doing something like a YouTube video or something else to go over there, a picture. So you can say, there's my logo, here's my picture, or here's my logo, here's my YouTube video, whatever that might be. All right. Now underneath here, you can see this is already kind of coming together a little bit, right? So underneath here, I'm just going to put in some text, just like that. All right. Let's go out and just grab some bacon text. Those of you who have been here this week know I'm a big fan of the bacon. So I'm just going to give me one paragraph of bacon text.
Justin, just so you know, our Creative Live Lounge goes off on these bacon tirades. So I just want you to know every time you mention bacon, everything explodes.
Well, that's okay.
We try to reel it back in, but
We've been on the bacon for like 2 years now, so people love the bacon.
I love bacon. I got lots of comments on my blog about bacon the last couple of days. So, all right, so I'm just going to paste in some, basically if you don't know what I did there, I went and got some just filler text. Kind of alleviates the need for lorem ipsum text, which is overly used on the internet. But I do use this as a method to show clients exactly what it would look like, you know, if we were actually doing this. So let's do light. And I'll bump up the size a little bit, maybe 14 pixels, something like that. Depends on how much readability you want to enter into this, okay? And I'm going to increase the spacing a little bit, all right? So there we go. I might actually change the color of that type a little bit as well. I don't want it to be, because this is black up here, this is black up here. I want to separate that a little bit, create a little bit of separation. That's probably too light, so let's do a little bit of gray like that. That's good, all right? You want to steer clear of putting background colors on your Facebook page unless you think it really works well with the background of Facebook, because remember, you're inside of Facebook's environment and everything around you is going to be pure white. And so if you got a background right here, it's going to look like it abruptly stops, and that's going to look bad. So that's why I'm not putting a background or anything behind it, okay? This also makes it look as if like this little talk bubble is coming up out of my biography, which is kind of neat. So you can kind of just see where I'm going with this, right? All right. That was bothering me. Sorry. It's still a little off, but that's okay. All right. Now, so we've got that. You could put other content in here. It doesn't matter what you do. It's just a matter of putting it together. And so at the bottom here, what I want to do is I want to put some buttons. So I'm going to put some buttons down here. I'm just going to put some, generic ones in here. All right. And so I'll move that over there. And then we'll just spread these out like that, okay? So these are going to be my social media buttons. And this is how I do it. This is my entire process. You are watching me do exactly what I would do if I was doing this myself. When I first started this, I did this, okay? So I planned out the buttons. I mapped out where the bio stuff was going to go. I mapped out where everything else was going to go. If I am showing this to a client or somebody else that I'm doing this for, like if this is going to be a YouTube video, I'll go grab a screenshot of that YouTube video and stick it right there, the screenshot. That way they can see, okay, this is what the video is going to look like. All right? So just practice with that. It'll come with time, nailing down this process and how it works for you. But you can see, it's a standard formula that I use for almost everything. So big call to action, identifying mark, informational blurb, as it were, and then here's where you find me elsewhere. Okay? Now, there are a ton of different ways to do this because, other companies have lots of different stuff. If you go to Adobe's Facebook page, for instance, they have products that they sell and everything else. If you want to feature that stuff on this front page or feature artwork or whatever you want to put on here, that's totally up to you. I'm just showing you from a personal standpoint what I do for my personal brand. All right? So, once we've got this in place, and you saw that took me about, 10, 15 minutes to throw that together. If you've already gone through and made your core set of graphics, you should have been able to set this up in even less time than that, probably. If you've got your taglines, your bios, and your core graphics all set up, all you should have to do is plug stuff in here. You shouldn't have to worry about the layout. Everything should be in place before you start. Now, I can take this, and I'll group all this stuff together. and I'll take it over into my Facebook template, and I'll drop it in, and I'll move it to the top of this guy, like this, okay? And then I'll just kind of position it just like that. And then you can kind of turn this off if you want to. But I leave this on, and I put a stroke around it, like a 1 pixel stroke, very thin, light color stroke, something like this. And then I'll take the fill opacity down so I don't see the blue background. And then I'll get this up to 100%. And then we look. And I look at it and I'll say, okay, does this work? If I'm coming to this site with this, is this something that compels me? Does this image up here, I haven't picked an image for that yet, but does this image up here distract away from what's here? If you'll notice on my page here, this is very dark. This is very bold. This up here is very light. I did that on purpose. I picked a different headshot, one different from this, so that this one does not overpower this one. So when people come here for the first time, they're drawn right there. And that way they see, oh, there's more stuff there. Let me scroll to see who this dude is and what he's doing and blah, blah, blah. If you're already a fan of my page, you would see my wall. And the wall, this works very good with the wall. It just kind of all flows together. Because when you come here after you're a fan, chances are you just want to see what I'm posting. You don't give a rip about clicking like anymore. So find something that works in both areas. So in this case, I'll tell you what. Let's just take this. I'll just copy this photo, and I'll just put it right in here. You notice there I got it. It's the exact size it should be. And so this, that's not bad, That is not going to pull away from that, especially if I have a video in here. It's not going to pull away from it that much. So I think I'm good to go. All right. So from here, what you're going to have to do is take this mock-up and you're going to have to turn it into HTML and CSS, or you're going to have somebody do that for you. If you can create it in a program like Photoshop, there are a ton of online services that will do this. It's called PSD to HTML. You can look those up and find one. You can submit the PSD. They'll bring you back with HTML and CSS. Or because you're not actually deploying this into like a content management system or deploying it as a full-blown website, because it's just this one standard little thing, I'm going to bet you could get a web designer to do this on the cheap. All right. Now, I'm not saying like it's going to be free, but it won't cost you like $1,000. Okay? Because you've already designed it. You've already put it together. You just want them to turn it into a functioning project, right? And so when you turn it into a functioning project, you can, if you want to do it yourself, do it yourself. If you understand HTML and CSS, you can do it yourself. It's not that difficult to do, okay? At the core of every Facebook page is nothing more than HTML and CSS. This right here is nothing more than HTML and CSS, okay? There's no special gizmos or gimmicks that is allowing me to, make these things, do the hover stuff or anything. You want to see it? If I go in here and I go to the editor, I'm using an app to do this. I did this all within Facebook. I didn't even have to do it anywhere else. All right? Look at the editor. All it is HTML and CSS code. That's it. Okay? There's the code for that whole page. And I know a lot of you are going to look at that and go, oh my, that's a lot of code. All right, a lot of that's CSS. And do you know where I got a majority of the CSS? I got it from css3generator.com. So I just went there and I said, okay, I want the buttons to be round. Here, round my corners. Okay, I want the buttons to have this gradient. Okay, give me a gradient. I want this to have a drop shadow. Give me a drop shadow. And then all I did was copy and paste stuff into here. Now, I can write this stuff on my own, and I do understand it. And I know that a lot of people don't, and that's okay. But you can go to sites like CSS3 Generator, and you can get information like this very easily and plug it in. Or if you have a web designer, they know how to do this. See, here's the content right here. Here's the paragraph style, or the paragraph that has my bio information. Here's all the links at the bottom. That's all they are links at the bottom. And the links are styled in such a way that they look like buttons. They look like buttons, didn't they? But they're not. Those are not images. That's all done through CSS. Why do I do it through CSS versus graphics? I do it through CSS versus graphics because CSS loads quicker. And because Facebook is slow enough, I like to speed it up as much as possible. So this is just images, or excuse me, this is just CSS. All right? All right, so if you wanted to start planning this out yourself, all right, you would need a code editing application, or you could just do it directly from within Facebook if you choose to. I'm going to show you that app in just a minute. And so when we start to plan this out, you have to remember you have to do everything within a 520 pixel window. It's, you know, my old thing that I used to say is it stinks, but it's what we have. So you have to work within that 520 pixel window, unfortunately, but that's how we do it. So what exactly am I using on my page to get this? I'm using an app called Static HTML, okay? And see if I can find it. Here it is. All right, it is called Static HTML : iframe tabs. And if you want to install this in Facebook, you first have to have a page, and I'm going to walk you through that process in just a second. But you first have to have a page, and then you go to the app. All right, so let's go to the app. And then you will choose this little button right here. You will choose Add Static HTML to a page. What does this do for me? This makes sure that I don't have to go register as a Facebook developer. This makes sure that I don't have to have a security certificate installed on my website. This makes sure that I don't have to deploy my own code from my own server. I don't have to have my own hosting. I don't have to have any of that jazz. Okay, I can do all of this from within Facebook with this little application, and this application is free.